So welcome back, folks, to the Wanneroo channel. So this is going to be part 2 of our work with the 150 grain Hornady full metal jacket bullets for 300 Blackout. And so we're going to talk through mainly powder today, and then there's probably going to be about another video or two where we will take the one load that we're going to go with initially and shoot that and chronograph it. I haven't chronographed it now for 2 or 3 years, so we're going to go ahead and do that in a later video. It is going to be pretty busy month, of course, with all the COVID hysteria stuff coming to an end, or looking like it's coming to an end. Things have gotten pretty busy for me, and I anticipate this summer is going to be pretty busy. But, you know, I'm going to keep putting out the videos as much as possible. There just might be some splits in between the videos, depending. Sometimes I'll be able to put out, you know, a couple videos a week. Sometimes there's going to be a bit of a space between them, but I'm going to do the best I can to get them out because I have a lot of stuff I want to cover. There's a lot of different projects I'm working on, and I'm just always busy. So tons of stuff coming up. And I think the other thing that we might do too is with this particular load is we're going to go with the load that I've done before for years, but we're also going to throw another powder into the mix and work up a load with that powder, and we'll talk about that here shortly. The other thing, I think I'll do a separate video for it, but thank you also to those that subscribe. We're over 100 subscribers now, so the more people that subscribe and watch the videos and give it a thumbs up and stuff motivates me even more to crank out more content. So I really appreciate that, because I know a lot of YouTubers, you know, they'll go for a year, 2 years, 3 years to get 100 subs. And, you know, we did it in just a couple months. So thank you to everyone for watching, commenting, leaving a thumbs up. All that stuff helps with the algorithm to get the videos out there. So moving on here, a couple of different things with our powders here. These aren't, of course, the only powders that you could potentially use or that we might consider. There's a lot of other 300 Blackout powders out there I would like to try. The Shooter's World powders, for instance, those it looks like Shooter's World, they make over in Czechia. They make about 3 different powders that are suitable for 300 Blackout, so I'd like to get my hands on those. Have not seen those in stock anywhere. One thing I've noticed, I went to some big gun stores, and also, you know, I watch very closely online. Hogden now seems to be putting out all sorts of different reloading powders again, as well as Accurate and Alliant as well. A lot of that stuff is starting to kind of flood in to gun stores, so we should see at least powder opening up here pretty soon and that getting moving again. So I am going to look at some other powders. I'd also like some of the Vitavori. I'd like to give that a go. So there's other stuff out there that you can consider, but one thing I will say about all of these here, the nice thing with like Little Gun, IMR 4227 and H110 is you can pretty much find those in any serious gun store that has any reloading stuff on the shelf, when supplies, of course, are normal. You know, these are powders that are also used in 357 Magnum and stuff like that, so they tend to be pretty widely available. And I've also seen that CFE Black as well. That I've not really had any issue finding CFE Black either, so that's out there too. So the one thing with these powders here is that it's, you know, they're you know, fairly common, and even right now, in fact, the other day whenever I was at a gun store, they had Little Gun, they had CFE Black, pretty sure they had IMR 4227. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure they did. And they had H110, so I was actually able to get a brand new container of H110. So it's out there. The next thing I'll mention that has kind of changed since I made the first video is the Hornady bullets that we're using. I don't know what was going on, but Hornady, they decided to crank out a whole mess of these things. And so these 150 grain full metal jacket bullets, I've seen them out there at multiple big reloading retailers online in bulk. And the other thing was the big gun store that I went to, they had so many of these. They were piled up on the counter, and they had a 25 box limit for these bullets. So there's plenty of these out there right now. So Hornady is cranking out the bullets again. So you should not have any trouble finding these. So if you want to kind of do what I'm doing and make some of this 300 Blackout ammo, I don't think you should have any trouble finding these right now in the United States, because Hornady, they seem like they made a whole mess of them. So with the shortages of everything else, if the gun store has, you know, a 25 box limit on something and you can't even get basic stuff like 9mm, you know, supplies are plentiful, at least on that. So definitely check that out. As I mentioned in the previous video, these are pretty good bullets that seem to work real well for Blackout. If you're just making kind of just a general, you know, target shooting load where we're not looking for hunting or anything else with it necessarily, you know, really good bullet. So I've been happy with it, and that's why I'm doing the video here. So powders, let's talk about where we're going to go at with this. So in my experience, actually one of the first powders that I used to try to make a load with this bullet back years ago was H110. And the thing that I found is that H110, you may have different results, but what I found with H110 is that didn't seem to really like mid-weight bullets too well, and probably wouldn't like heavier weight bullets either. It seems to be very satisfied on the low weight range for 300 Blackout in terms of bullets. You know, and obviously a lot of people use H110 for like the 110 grain or the 125 grain bullets or whatever. You know, they like H110 a lot. So this powder, we're going to go ahead and exclude this one. So this is one that we're not going to use for this. Like I said, I've tried it before, and I was getting very inconsistent results with it, and it just wasn't working. So that one we are going to exclude. The other thing too is we have our Hornady manual here, so we are going to be taking a look at this. And this is an older manual. They're on their 11th edition. It just came out, and so I'm going to get that here soon. It's just one of those things on my shopping list that we're going to get to. But this still works fairly well. So I'm just going to get here to the 300 Blackout page and our 150 grain bullet. We're going to kind of see different powders that they have listed for this. So it looks like we have accurate number 9, Alliant 2400, the Vitavori N110. That's a powder I wouldn't mind trying just for 300 Blackout in general. We have Little Gun they do list H110. Like I said, I didn't have the best luck with it. Winchester 296, which is basically the same thing as H110. IMR 4227, they have a load listed for that. I've never tried it with IMR 4227, but I suspect that probably 4227 is probably going to like the lighter weight bullets more. I'm thinking maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we could get a good load with that would work. There's also Vitavori N120, so I'm not really familiar with that powder, but you know, that I wouldn't mind trying some of the Vitavori stuff in general for some of the stuff I do. And an accurate 1680. Now 1680 seemed to be a powder that early on in the 300 Blackout world, a lot of people were kind of using that, I think, and some of the interest in that has kind of died back for whatever reason. I've never used it before, so I don't know. But anyways, so that's kind of what they have listed, and that's what I went off to kind of do what I was going to do. And you can see my scribbles from before, that was many years ago, back, I don't know, 2013, 2014. So that is not the powder charge we're going to use. But anyways, that's some of the choices we get. And the other thing I need to look up is the load data for CFE Black. So we'll get to that in just a second. So those are some of the things that we can kind of go with. So 4227, yeah, that's something that we could probably consider. You know, just out of interest, but I think we have something that already works that we are going to go with. So we'll get to that. So yeah, potential definitely to maybe try it and see what we get. I'd say it's probably a little bit down my list though. Then we have these two here to go with. So CFE Black came on the market a couple years ago, kind of advertised as just a good general purpose 300 Blackout powder. It seems to be very accurate with the people that have loaded it, and also too, from my experience loading it, whatever you tend to load with it, it seems to, the accuracy seems to be there. The one thing is with it though, is that it doesn't seem to like lighter weight bullets as much, and also too, the powder charges required for it seem to be a bit higher. So if you're kind of just looking at things from a charge weight perspective, and then also too compressing loads and all that, CFE Black here, you tend to kind of get into more of those issues with this. So I would say, as they even say on the bottle, let's see, optimized for 300 Blackout subsonic. So essentially with CFE Black, it kind of strikes me as a powder that you're going to use for heavier weight bullets, especially if you're looking for those subsonic loads as well. Now, we're going to go with this, I would say, as our second choice. So I think that we should develop a load for this. So I think that's going to be our priority after we finish with the first one, is to try this out and see what we get, because also this powder seems to be fairly common. Even during the worst of the worst, I still found this on the shelf. It doesn't seem like as many people buy it or whatever, so didn't have any trouble finding it. So yeah, we want to always have options with everything that we do. So yeah, this is something that we should take a look at and try to develop a load for, and get some load data for, and kind of look around online and see what the deal is. And I also need to get that new book that Hornady has put out, because they probably have a load for this in there. So definitely something that we want to consider here in the next month or two. And this is going to be basically the prom queen right here. So this is going to be the big winner, little gun. So I started using little gun for this load back 7-8 years ago, whenever it was. Had great success with it. Accurate, it worked, never had any reliability issues. So this is going to be the champion powder that we're going to go with. So that is going to be our powder that we're going to use, and that is the first load that we're going to do. And so next up, the goal will be to get some rounds loaded up. We will get the magneto speed chronograph. I have chronographed these several times over the years, but I've not done it with the magneto speed yet. So at some point in the next week or two, once we have our loads, we will chronograph them, see what we get. We'll also set up some targets and see what we get for our accuracy as well. The other thing that I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at a variable optic to mount on one of the 300 Blackout rifles. I'm also looking at getting another 300 Blackout rifle because I want something that's a little bit better than the whole red dot or EOTech type deal. So I'm kind of considering what I want to do with that. I've already looked through different scopes and kind of have an idea where I'm going to go with it. So we'll see what comes up. But whenever we do our accuracy testing, it's going to be from the perspective of, hey, we're using a 2 MOA red dot. So, might not be as, as accurate as shooting a variable power scope and all that on target. But, I think that would kind of be more realistic in a sense, because obviously a lot of us out there, what are we shooting? Well, we're shooting red dots, or we're shooting EOTechs or different things like that. So, so let's kind of see what we get with that, and go that direction. So that's going to be the plan going forward with this. And then the other thing with 300 Blackout coming up is I have a smorgasbord of different bullets, and Starline brass is back in stock as well. So there's a lot of things out there coming up with 300 Blackout, among other things that we're going to be doing. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, everybody, and y'all have a good one.